influencers on this particular platform are trying to get you to do all kinds of things that I would recommend against. And this video is probably going to put me at war with some of these other idiots, but, something needs to be said. I mean, these people are being bribed basically to come on here and recommend things to you that are really, really fucking toxic for you, and I've got too much integrity to engage in that kind of crap. I don't care. You want to pay me to recommend your product and everything. If your product's a piece of shit, I'm not going to huck it on my followers. Despite the fact that some of them are just hate followers, and but I wanted to come on here and say something because I'm a social commentary channel, periodically, and I usually don't come on and say something unless I want to. And generally I'm way back in the wings, ignoring it or just commenting on other people's videos and watching other people's content, not really making my own or saying something on YouTube as a platform. But, I've become aware of the fact that they're pushing a lot of this gambling content and gambling. Let's just say that, things that I've found out about it are little factoids, like the fact that, a company like, say, DraftKings will make most of its money from clients that are the biggest losers. Basically, they make, like, if you're a VIP on their platform, you've been losing money like left and right, and everything, and that's why they put you on it. And so that's why they place you in that category, because they got to keep the VIPs who they're piggies, in this pig butchering scam happy and everything. But, I look at it and I see what's going on, and the fact that it's enabling gambling addiction and all this other shit, and the fact that, I think we needed... I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, because we've tried outlawing it and that didn't work. People just broke the law and formed, illegal gambling houses and everything. And, as far as I'm concerned, like, I'm not one of those people that's like anti-gambling because gambling is a moral thing. I don't think there's anything morally wrong with engaging in it. That's not the problem that I have with it. The problem that I have with it is that the house almost always invariably ends up ahead and winning, anyways, that's hosting it and everything, and the proper person to be, if you want to come out ahead in that operation, is the house. You want to own the damn place. All this has gotten me thinking about investing in DraftKings, though. I mean, so from my vantage point, here's how I look at it. I don't approve of this. I very strongly disapprove of it. I think it's pushing people into financial ruin. That's bad. Even if I don't like those people, they still shop, they still spend money, they still stimulate the economy in some fashion. They have to, just to survive, and it is pushing people into financial ruin, and so, but this bad thing is happening, right? And I don't like it. I don't approve of it. Very strong, but it's happening anyways, regardless of how I feel about it. I can voice my opinion. And here I am voicing that opinion, saying I don't approve of this. But at the end of the day, it's going to happen whether or not I approve of it or not. I'm not really a relevant factor in the equation. And so these things are going to be happening in my society no matter what. And so, it has me thinking about investing in it, because if something terrible is going to happen and, I can't stop it, and it's inevitable, and it's in such a way where there's nothing I can do to prevent it from happening, then I might as well benefit from it, because, I'm powerless, to really prevent these things from happening. And so it has me, contemplating investing in DraftKings, because it's like, here, I can literally own a piece of the casino itself and the house and everything, and I've always wanted to, to some extent. I just never had the money. Although, to be honest with you, I found out that running a casino was a little bit more complicated than I thought, because, you staffing costs, are quite high, despite the fact that you're taking in a bunch of money for actually running like one in the real world. But DraftKings is all virtual cyberspace, betting, and in that context, you don't actually need security, and everything. You need it to some extent to prevent people from hacking the site and abusing the statistics. But other than that, it's all virtualized, so you're not going to have somebody come in with a bunch of handguns and try to hold the place up. Because they can't. They don't know where the other one is, or they're very far away from the other person, and so they still have to, there's a plane between them and the fucking people running it, and so they're they're not going to want to get on a jet and head out in that direction and everything and hunt them down. And anyways, by the time they get there, they may be well aware of the fact that they're coming and for them and everything. So it's not really done for the most part. You don't really need it beyond just making sure your website is up to date and your IT security people are well apprised of the latest threats and everything, and everything. You might want a penetration tester on site, but other than that, you're basically covered as far as staffing is concerned. But all these terrible things are happening, and as far as I'm concerned, I've done my due diligence on it, so long as I'm at least speaking out against it, and my public-facing persona is saying, hey, this is not good, this is bad, you shouldn't engage in this, and I'm actively, discouraging people from using the platforms. But, so at that point, it really doesn't matter to me from my ethical standpoint if I'm actually invested in it and using it, because at least then I'm, telling people, hey, look, I may have money parked with these people, but I don't think you should use it, and everything. And the stock looks like an attractive investment. It looks like they're doing well, and they're investing in the predictions market. And this is, like, all this stuff is happening, and it's bad, and it's pushing people into financial ruin and everything. But fuck, man. Look, I mean, these terrible things are happening, and I can't beat these fuckers. I might as well, join them and benefit from the fuckery that they're engaged in, because there's nothing I can do to derail that train. It's already in motion. It's going to happen whether I approve of it or not. So, that's why I'm in that boat of thinking about parking some revenue and money with them and everything, because then at least I own a piece of the house. But I mean, God, we need de-influencers, because, like, this platform, unfortunately, has a lot of unscrupulous people that are, engaged in promoting things that they really shouldn't be promoting.